listener's question then. This is from, and you said this is a mouthful, if I can say his name. How would you say this? I'd say Ealdst.
I was just going to say that it's Ealdst with a spelling mistake.
Oh, okay.
But maybe it's Ealdst.
Ealdst.
Yeah.
Because there's a D and S and a T. Ealdst, whatever your name is, Ealdst. He was from the N-E Café thread on the N Europe forums. You can join us and chat to us on our specialised thread, where you can drop us your Pod Pals game, Demon's Crest experience, and you can ask us some listener questions. And Ealdst has asked us, as predominantly Nintendo gamers, what game or games would you like to see ported to the Switch that have never been on a Nintendo console? He says this is pure fantasy, so feel free to list any game from any era, whether it's technically feasible or not, and if it's a licensing nightmare, don't worry about licenses, basically. Let's have one game each then. Nick, what would you like to see on the Switch?
Honestly, there's nothing that I would like to see on the Switch.
Yeah.
I think... well, okay. If it's like real fantasy, probably... Not that I would like to see it, but I think Grand Theft Auto should be on the Switch. It's just a no-brainer.
Yeah. Where is it?
Yeah. No, I don't know. Like, what would you have?
I'd have mostly, if I were thinking about it, and you're going, things from the past. Things in the past I can pick up. If I wanted to play a PS1 game, I'd pick up a PS1. So I wouldn't go anywhere near the past. I'd think of more modern exclusives, and most of the modern exclusives I'm interested in would be from the PS4. Especially things like Spider-Man.
Okay. I know you're a Marvel fan.
I'm not going to pick a PS4 up for any reason, but I am quite jealous of how good that Spider-Man game looks and plays. So that would be a big one for me.
If I was choosing something from the PS4 Sony exclusives, for me personally, it would be... I'd love to play Horizon. I think that looks great. And I would love to play The Last of Us, probably, as well.
Yeah, that would be
because
another
I've heard
one
so
for
many
me as
good
well.
things. I don't really know anything about it, but I've heard so many good things that it's just... I even have a couple of friends who don't game at all, but they bought a PS3 just for The Last of Us and absolutely loved it. So, I think, speaking more in general, I think if I didn't have my PC, I would feel that the Switch is still severely lacking in sports games, racing games, and first-person shooters.
Yeah.
That's for me, that's the three genres that are too underrepresented on the Switch. And I think now the situation with Nintendo, if we compare it to the Wii days or the Wii U days, I think now it's perfectly feasible to be a Switch only gamer. Whereas I know for me, the Wii it wasn't enough. When online gaming was really taking off and all my friends were talking about these games and playing these games, and yes, Mario Galaxy was fantastic and Skyward Sword was fantastic, but the Wii, despite the number of games that came out for it, was severely lacking in a lot of areas.
In the multiplayer stuff,
yeah,
particularly, yeah. It's racing. We both love racing games. We both love watching F1. And it is games like that that's lacking as well. Yes, Grid Autosport is doing it for me, but let's have more variety, you know?
Yeah.
Let's have F1. Come on, Codemasters.
Arcade games, arcade racing games, similar to the N64. I mean, we talked about this before, but since the N64 died, there hasn't really been any decent racing games on any Nintendo system, handheld or home console.
I did like, and I don't know what you think about this EA game, but Need for Speed Most Wanted on the Wii U.
Excellent.
Filled in a nice gap. That was good.
I played that as well.
Arcade racer, you know.
Very similar to Burnout, wasn't it? But without the smashing. But I think, as well, another point I want to make is that the way gaming is going now, I'm really, really glad I'm not a part of it. That I'm focused mainly on my Switch, because we don't have the absolute bull that you get on the other consoles, like EA and Ubisoft and Activision and loot boxes and season passes. We've got some of that, but the way it seems to me now, I don't have an Xbox, I don't have a PS4, but especially, as Jim Sterling likes to say, AAA games, it's just the same stuff over and over again with the same mechanics, and like, for me, that is the least appealing thing in all of gaming.
I was thinking about adding as well, because Ealdst has asked, what would you like to see? So what wouldn't you like to see? It's that type of thing I've been thinking about as well. It's and I'm gonna slag off your favorite franchise, your Halo. I love sci-fi. I would love it if Star Wars Battlefront, I think it's Battlefront 2, isn't it, would come on Switch. It'd be wonderful. I'd have a hell of a time with it. But Halo's never... I'm not an Xbox gamer, so maybe that's another reason. Halo's never done it for me. Anything... Specifically, we've gone through genres, and you're talking about... I don't like the microtransactions and all that. Is there any particular game that you wouldn't want to see on the Switch?
Anything made by EA.
Except Star Wars Battlefront.
I have such a distaste for them at the minute. Well, apparently the Jedi, what's it called? Force. What's it called? The new one.
Yeah, the new one. Yeah.
Few people are enjoying that. And I've watched a couple of Let's Plays, and it looks fine. Like, it's still
a little janky.
Yeah, the gameplay good. Doesn't look like next gen gameplay. Really, no. It's just pretty. It's just a game that's pretty. Well, that's how it seems to me. Maybe I'm wrong.
Does everything that a third-person platformer does. Yeah, nothing.
I think the one thing, for me with the Switch, most of what I enjoy is already on there. The one game I would really like to see, without any question, I'll take it for 60 quid, is Rare Replay.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that.
But that's just nostalgia speaking. And as a wider point, I think Nintendo, if you compare what they're doing with the retro games to Sony and Microsoft, and we've got a few NES and SNES games, this is what I want them to... I want to play N64 games, I want to play GameCube games, yeah. Maybe some handheld GBA, Game Boy games.
I can see the GBA N64 being added. GameCube, I don't think so. I've lost hope of the GameCube appearing on Switch now.
Everybody has.
Yeah, but remasters of GameCube games, maybe.
Yeah, when a remaster's done well, I'll take it all the time over the original, definitely. I played through Ocarina of Time 3D, way better than the original.
Yeah.
I played through Wind Waker HD, way better than the original. I will never go back to the original now. Those.
The one I didn't play was Twilight Princess HD. I
played half of it. Also much better. It looks so much better now on the Wii U. Looked way better. Yeah. But it's difficult. I would say this is the best Nintendo support, the best experience, or the sort of with the widest amount of choice you could have with a Nintendo system since the Super Nintendo with the Switch, and I think that's a good thing.
And thinking about some exclusives as well, we've had some exclusives from the Xbox across, Ori and the Blind Forest,
Cuphead,
and there's one more coming which was an Xbox One exclusive, and I don't know if you know about this. It's a Dark Souls inspired game called Ashen. That's another one to look out for. That the recent, I wouldn't be in the indie ones. You could have been possibly in indie. Maybe it's a bit further off than what they want to show yet. But I've seen trailers recently, and that looks good as well. That's another Xbox exclusive which will be making its way to Switch. And there's another one which just popped in my mind. The PS4 exclusive MLB The Show.
It's coming.
Which is it's coming. Amazing. Highly regarded baseball game.
Apparently it wasn't as it's not made by Sony, apparently.
No, but they had locked or bought exclusivity for that franchise, yeah.
No, it's good. I do worry, though, when the PS5 and Xbox whatever come out. Like, this... I mean, we haven't had much support or many ports, but I can see it's, like, definitely slowing down or drying out completely as they get more powerful.
Yes, it won't dry up in the indie kind of sense.
No, it won't.
The smaller, what we see in, like, now. And Switch has replaced that kind of PS Vita kind of indie goddess. So we'll have lots and lots of those to play. And
what I'm thinking might happen, and I hope it does happen, is with the Wii, there was a few studios that decided, okay, HD development is too expensive. Let's make something exclusive for the Wii. And people complained a lot that it was, it's just a watered down version, it's like, it's a half-assed sort of effort. But there was a lot of decent games on the Wii that came out of that sort of mentality of, okay, Wii development is way cheaper. There's a big audience, which the Switch has as well. So I hope that when the PS5 and Xbox, the new Xbox start, like the development starts on these consoles, that some studios will take a look and think, well, okay, we can spend like hundreds of millions, or not hundreds, tens of millions on this like new technology. Or we can, put in a couple, 3, 4, 5 million into a Switch game, promote it well, make it decent,
get
like
a lot of money back,
and hopefully, make a bit of money. And they might see that there's more money in that than trying to push the boundary all the time. And with it being old technology, they can still make it look like half decent. Yeah, they're experienced with it, so
no problem with the way Switch games look, and some of the indie stuff on Switch looks fantastic.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be an interesting year over the next year when all this stuff starts getting announced, and if the Switch keeps selling like it's selling now, hopefully it'll
catch fire in China. That'll. But to be honest, though, you see, China is a separate entity, and I can see China as being right. We'll release games like Yoshi's Crafted World and bits and pieces like that, and just release them on, and that's just a money earner. That's a money spinner. China's got nothing to do with what we're going to be pushing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully, hopefully. To be honest,
like Nintendo need more money.
But interesting times ahead.
It is. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to this week where I'm going to be hunting some monsters, but not in Monster Hunter. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give us a like if you've enjoyed our content. You can also check out our other great content on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and the N-E Café podcast from all good podcast providers. Just follow the links in the description below.